brand new reporting today that is really interesting. It is on the record reporting about the panic that has set in for Republicans and their razor-thin majority is being drowned out by Donald Trump's career-low approval ratings, the distractions. He seems intent on creating news cycle after news cycle after news cycle, his inability to stay on message, and frankly, it's not clear he even knows what the message is. The desperation is happening, though, as we said, in real time, hour by hour. Today, Donald Trump is on a plane en route to Las Vegas. This is the White House's latest attempt to get him to focus on the economy. But even when he does, voters don't like what he's saying about the economy. And that's just the start. As Politico reports, quote, a sputtering economy, high gas prices, a fight with the Pope, and a pair of foreign policy setbacks in Pakistan and Hungary have left many White House allies newly exasperated as they try to navigate what was always going to be a difficult midterm year. One Republican operative close to the White House says this, quote, everything is made more difficult by the nonsense coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Our friend and colleague Jonathan Lemire reports this in The Atlantic, quote, in private moments, most Republicans have been saying for months that holding the House is likely beyond their reach, but at least Republicans thought the Senate was safe. That is no longer the case. I want to bring in former senior advisor and spokesperson for the Harris-Walz presidential campaign. Adrian Elrod is here. Also joining us, Democratic strategist and Columbia University professor, political analyst Basil Smikle is here as well. Basil, this is such a vibes thing. I mean, we cover a lot of the vibes, and those are very good, too. When you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene and Megyn Kelly saying more harsh and vitriolic things about Donald Trump than anyone on the left, you know where sort of all the heat is going on the heat map. But this is on the record reporting about races and margins.
Yeah, that's right. Jonathan's report is fantastic, and it follows other reports that say that Republicans are much more clear than they ever were, that they need to get a Trump agenda passed, but Trump has no interest in helping them do that. And that's been clear to all of us for a very long time. What is the Trump agenda? I think the Trump agenda, if I were to guess, it's just making his friends and family very wealthy. That crony capitalism. And they sense it. Republicans sense that. They can't really defend it very well, but they sense it, and voters get it. You know, we were talking to Zach Walz, who's running for Senate in Iowa. We were talking to him earlier. You know, and the fact that we're talking about Iowa now as being competitive, but with the governor's race still and in the Senate race, is really important and fascinating because it's building on the movements and the mobilization and the organizing, No Kings, ICE and immigration, right? And it's this acknowledgement by the voters that everything that Trump is doing is not helping them. Consumer price index has gone up 3 points there. Energy costs have gone up 11% there. You have a state full of farmers that are being hurt by tariffs and what's happening in Iran and fertilizer prices. What is Trump doing to help them? And no one can really give you a concrete answer on that. And so it's not just voters being affected, but it's the entire Republican establishment that realizes they have nothing to run on.
Adrian, there's a thing that seems like it's catching up with Donald Trump. I mean, he has always been immune from the laws of political gravity. He won after saying that on tape that he grabbed women between the legs. And then when all the Republicans went along with it, he was more powerful because he did something clearly abhorrent. They stayed in the coalition and he added power. Same thing after he recognized good people on both sides of Charlottesville, and on. After January 6th, he incited an insurrection. They all ran for their lives. There's no video of anyone walking more slowly if they were a Republican than a Democrat. They all ran. I think Josh Hawley ran the fastest, maybe because he's a good runner, maybe because he was the most scared. I do not know. But the idea that they sort of humiliate themselves by going back under his skirt after every humiliation seems to be catching up with them when you've now got Marjorie Taylor Greene calling him insane.
Yeah, Nicole, it's quite fascinating. I mean, look, I was on Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016, and I remember when that move started happening, when you started to see Republicans shifting from, oh, this guy is unhinged, he's crazy, he cannot be president, this would be incredibly dangerous for our country. When you started to see that shift from, well, maybe he's more acceptable, when they realized he was inevitably going to win the primary, they started to embrace him. And I remember sitting at Hillary Clinton's headquarters one day and thinking to myself, at some point, these Republicans will regret embracing Trump. They will regret embracing MAGA. And of course, you perfectly laid out all of the things that were unimaginable at the time that have happened. January 6th, grabbing women by the you know what. So many other things that we don't have time to go into right now because your viewers certainly know. And now it is all coming home to roost. You have a president who, Nicole, half the time, I don't even know if he wants Republicans to win in the midterms. I don't even know if he wants J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio to be his successor. Part of me thinks maybe he wants to believe that only he alone can win these elections because everything he's doing, he's self-sabotaging. These are self-inflicted wounds, getting to fight into a fight with the Pope, going into a war that many people don't understand why we're at war. And then Basil also perfectly laid out, so many issues that the American people are facing. We also have to remember he won largely on the fact in 2024 because prices were too high. He's done nothing to address those prices. So all of those factors combined are making it look pretty good for Democrats right now.
There are moments in politics when noise stops being mere distraction and starts revealing something deeper, something structural, even dangerous. What we are witnessing right now is not just another turbulent phase in American politics. It feels like a system straining under the weight of its own contradictions, with Donald Trump sitting squarely at the center of that tension. For years, Trump has operated as if political gravity simply does not apply to him. Scandals that would have ended any other career instead seem to strengthen his grip on power. But what's unfolding now suggests that this immunity may not be infinite. The cracks are no longer subtle, they are visible, audible, and increasingly undeniable. What stands out most is not just the criticism from opponents, but the unease from within his own political ecosystem. When allies begin to express frustration, even cautiously, it signals a shift. Politics is often about perception, and right now the perception forming is one of instability, distraction, and a lack of coherent direction. That perception alone can be politically fatal. At the same time, the disconnect between rhetoric and reality is becoming harder to ignore. While voters are dealing with rising costs and economic uncertainty, the messaging coming from the top feels scattered, sometimes even surreal. Leadership, at its core, is about focus and clarity. When that clarity disappears, confidence follows. There is also a deeper question emerging beneath the surface. Is this chaos accidental, or is it strategic? Trump has long thrived in environments where confusion dominates the narrative. But even chaos has limits. When it begins to alienate not just critics but core supporters, it risks turning from an asset into a liability. Perhaps the most telling sign of this moment is the quiet panic reportedly setting in among Republicans. A party that once rallied around Trump now appears caught between loyalty and political survival. That tension is unsustainable. Eventually, something has to give. In the end, this is about more than one Baikaitai or one election cycle. It is about whether a political system can recalibrate when it has been pushed to extremes. The coming months will not just test Trump's resilience, but the willingness of institutions, allies, and voters to confront what is increasingly difficult to ignore.